use these arrow functions to make our code very concise. We don't have to write this return statement down here. We can just directly write this console log here. So this returns this. We can also write the type of this output, pass the parameter. If there is only one parameter, we can even remove this parenthesis, or we can write the type, pass it to this constant here, which we are defining, which returns this void. So here pass the output with this parameter. You can see that, and we just return just the print statement. We return nothing which of type void. So we can write this code in this concise form. Then we have something called as default. So here we are passing these two parameters and giving the type. We can set the default value of one of the parameters here, or both of them. For example, we set b to 1. So now we want to use this add function and pass. We just have to pass one parameter. The second will be automatically taken as 1. So we pass this 5 here and this add, and we then print this. So the output will come out as 6 because we set the default value of the second parameter to 1, and we cannot set the default parameter as the first one because TypeScript does not skip the default parameters here. So we have to write the default as the last parameter. So after the first one, we can use that. Now, for example, we created this hobbies array, two elements here, and then we create another constant with this array with just one element. Now we want to push the elements of hobbies array into this active hobbies. So we cannot directly write dot push and pass hobbies because this means that we are passing this complete array into this array. So this we cannot do. This will not pass the elements directly. So here we can use this spread operator with these three dots and add the name of the array. So this will take out all the elements from the hobbies array and push them into this active hobbies array. So we can use this operator. Array we can use the same for an object. For example, we have this person with first name and age, and we create another constant where we have this object and we want to pass this person object here. We can use the spread operator again with three dots and pass that. So all the fields here in this object will be passed into this new object. So let's take this key value pairs of one object and pass into another. Now something similar to this, we have rest parameter. For example, we create this constant here where we accept numbers, but then we are not sure how many numbers we want to pass. For example, we want the flexibility to pass as many numbers as we want in this add constant that we created. So we don't want to restrict the number of values it takes. So for that we can use this again three dots and pass the number. So this is the type. We write this with rest parameters so it accepts numbers, and then we define the type. This is the name that we whatever name we write of this parameter, and then this is the type. This is the type of the values that we can pass in this add constant. So we have to pass number, and this will be an array of numbers if we have multiple values passed here. So this is the parameter that we pass, and this will then we can write this return statement. Here we can use this property of array, which is reduce. So this takes every new number that comes into the array and calculates the value and adds that into the previous result. So it calculates the result of each number here and adds that into the complete result. So we have the current result here. We pass two parameters here, current result that we have and the current value, that particular number. So on numbers dot reduce, we write and we pass this parameter, and then this returns current result plus current value. So this adds that into the result. So this is how we can use this add function to pass as many numbers as we want and to add them using this property of arrays and rest parameters. We can also have define a tuple here. For example, here we pass the number of values that we can have and then we pass that here. But we want to be more flexible with just an empty array. So we don't want it to restrict to any number. We can pass as many as we want into this. Destructors that we can use here in TypeScript also. So they are both array and object destructors that we can use, which means that we get the values out of an array and store them into individual constants or variables. So we had this hobbies array here, which has just two elements. So for example, we write it like this, and on a constant we pass an array, and inside that we give the names of the constant. So the first constant here will take the first element of this hobbies array automatically. So this will be in order because array is an ordered list. And then we can use the rest parameter here to pass all of the other elements in the array to this one constant, which is all remaining hobby. So this is how we can use the destructor here to get the elements of this array and put pass them into a constant. Then we can console log to see. So this we does not change. We don't change anything into the array itself. We just pull out the elements and put them into these constant that we can then use to see. Similarly, we have an object. So we had this object in object. In case of this object, we have to pass the same key field name that we had on the object to here because this is not an ordered list of elements like an array. So on person object, the first name we will have to write here, which is the field name. We can rename that in this column and write the name. Then we can use that, for example, to print the statement here. We are working with classes and objects here. So this is the object-oriented programming where we treat individual codes where we use objects that resemble real-life objects when we have to perform certain functions in our code. So we can have different objects for them, and we have classes that can help create the objects. So classes are a template for objects. A class can have multiple objects of similar type, so we can create objects more easily. So here we create a class like this. We give the name and just define a field here. For example, this name, which is of string type, you have to write like this. So we define a field which is called name, which is of type string. And then to create the object, first we create this constructor. So this is a method that we create here where we define the field that we have, the name string, and then we use this keyword to assign a field to that. But here we just pass this parameter. This can be given any name, which will be then set to the value of the field here that will be created. This we create it as a field key value pair in the object that we create from this class. So this constructor is tied to this class, which is like an initialization work to create the object. So this runs when the object is created. Then we create the object based on this class by using this new, pass the name of the class and the parameter that we have to pass here, which is the string, and pass the name accounting. For example, we want to create an object for accounting in the console look that. So we will see that this string gets printed, which we set here using constructor. Now here we create another method to describe the function that we create in the class are called methods. So here we print the statement of the department name. For example, we want to print the name. So if we just write name here, this will not give us this value from here because name is a global variable already set here. So we have to use this keyword here and this dot, and it will give all the fields that we created inside this class. So to access any property or field from the class, we have to use this keyword, and after dot we will see every field and property that we can use inside this class. So we can use this keyword here to print the department name. For example, we create a constant, new constant here. We will pass this class. So based on this class, and we give the string accounting here. So we create a new constant accounting copy here. We want to pass the parameter as of this describe method, and then we use accounting dot describe. Also, we are using this is the accounting object, and we are using the method from here into this. So we write like this, but we get an error here because this describe method has this keyword which uses this name field here, which is inside this particular class. So when we are outside this class, accounting copy, so this is a new object here. There is no name field present here. So this generates an error because the name is not declared, and we are using the property of another class which is not present here. So we can just pass name field here, then this will not generate that error anymore. So this keyword sees, well, you're applying that the whatever is before this dot. So it sees for the properties or fields present in that particular instance. So if it is not present, it gives this error. So now when we are defining these fields here, these are by default public fields that we can use the properties of this outside of this particular class also. So to restrict that, we can use this private head of the field name so that the property that we have here, for example, we create this employees field here inside the class of department. This is type a string array. So we put by default public. So we can use its property like this, but the class ends here. So after this class, we cannot use its property in another class. If we use this private here, have a shortcut inside of this constructor method by using which we don't have to define these fields here and also the set the fields like this. So this is like a double initialization. We don't have to do that if we just write the name, whatever names we write, there will be the field names of the objects. So these are the key values of the objects that are created based on this class. So and in front of that, we can write private or public in however way we want to use those fields. So this directly creates these fields to be used as a key values for the object without using this keyword here. Now we can create other methods also. For example, to add new employees here. So we created this field with employees, which is a array of strings. So now we can add new employees. We create a method where we pass the parameter of employee, which is a string. And then by using this keyword, so we can use this keyword here, where we pass the employees. So on a string, we push every new employee that we have. That we can use this add employee to pass the name inside the string on the accounting method that we created. So this is how we can add new employees here. We can also, for example, printing and employee information, create a new a new method here. We don't pass any parameter, but this returns this. For example, the employees by using this again, this dot employees to get the information about employees field and also the length we want to see this counting dot print employee information. We can use that to get the employee information. Now, for example, we create an ID field here, a string, and we want this to remain the same. We don't want the ID to change after we create that. So we can use this read only. So we write read only in front of ID here while defining inside the constructor. So that, for example, when we try to change that here, it generates an error that we can change the ID again. And now inheritance here. So inheritance means creating another class and using the properties of one class into another class. So we can inherit the properties, for example, of this department class. Now we want to create another department and we want some of the features of this class into that class and create other methods also. So we can use inheritance by defining a new class, for example, ID department, which extends the department class. So the class that we created, we inherit that here using this extends. And here, for example, we want to see admins, so we create new field here, which is of array of strings. And we create the constructor, we pass ID and admins. This is the constructor for this particular class. Now to use the constructor properties of the department class, we have to use this super keyword here. So on this ID, just keep ID and pass the name inside this string. Since we had these two properties inside of constructor of department, so we can use the constructor here. We'll have to write this before using this keyword here, even though we can just use this constructor here without using this, because we can use the shortcut of constructor. But even if we use this, we have to pass this constructor of the parent class, which is the department class first before applying this. Similarly, if now we create another class here, accounting department, again extends department, create constructor, give ID and reports to get the reports of the department, for example, which is an array of strings. And then we use the constructor of the parent class, and here we create a new method. Add employee, where we pass this parameter, and then we have this if statement. If the name is this, then return, else push the name into the employee. So this is to see, because employees was private before. So to use that in another class now, we can use this protected. We can select whether we want this field to be used in another class. So here we are having this statement. So we can use that here. We have another method, add report, where we have text type string, where we push this text onto the report, which was the field here that we created for this class. So then create another method where we print the reports that we get from here. Now here we have this add employee method that we add in the department class. So we can use override. So we override the method from the parent class to the class where we inherit that parent class. So we use the same method again here. Create this new constant here for create the object here for this ID department class. We give the ID and the string array of string where we write the name. And then we use this add employee method from the parent inherited class, pass the name. We can then pass to this object like we were passing to accountant. You can use the same method for this new object in another class. And then we can write like this. For example, if we want to add another name inside this array, we cannot use employees because uh, the private fields that we have in one class don't come in the new class which inherits that previous class. So private fields are still private to that class only. We use this describe method also from the parent class. So we can see these print reports, add report. Here we create this new object for accounting department class also. Pass the ID and an empty array of string. On that also, now we can use the same method from a parent class. So we can override the methods like this.